should be fine.
So the plan is now to get Dielron moving on the Allied left. So this is this Hougoumont again, or is this?
No, this is going up between La Haye Saint and Papelotte on the right.
Sorry, the Allied left. My left and right
Yeah.
are all over the place. So this is the right, the French right.
This is the French right.
Okay, so this is Papelotte's now captured, or disputed at least, and the French are now. This is the main assault going in.
Exactly.
It is. This is the first big infantry attack.
So how many men would be involved in this actual part of the battle?
It's thousands. You could have 5,000-6,000.
We're here in command. We're playing Davlon over here, and we got the total men we got under our command is 15,000 men. That including all the artillery personnel, for
Yes.
example, and all the support units up there.
Yes, and some of that's been peeled off to attack Papelotte.
Yes, yes.
So Papelotte is part of this scenario as well. So we're going to be covering.
It is, but we won't be focusing on that on this side. We were going to focus on the attack on the Allied
this is
lines.
attacking up the hill where the British are waiting.
But like Ian says, some of our units we cannot control because they're located at Papelotte. They're going to be focused on that.
Okay, so then those are in the scenario but out of your command, and they'll continue their action at Papelotte.
The information you just flagged up, which was the army list for D'Erlon's corps, included 80 guns. It's easy to forget how many men are required to service each gun. You really need to multiply that by at least 10. So.
Well, 800 of that 15,000 would just have been related to the artillery crew.
Yes, you've got the men actually working the gun at the front, you've got the men bringing ammunition from the limbers behind, and behind them another almost human chain of ammunition from the reserve limbers, and then you've got the horse holders. The gun is towed behind a limber, which is towed by 4 horses. Each of the reserve limbers is towed by 4 horses. So you've got approximately 800 men and not far off 800 horses by the time you add them all up. Huge amount of horse flesh.
Stuff.
Manure for the roses?
Is that Napoleon's Grand Battery then? Is that these 80 guns were part of that Grand Battery?
Yes.
Because that is an awful lot of cannons sitting on that hill.
So we got them positioned over here on the hill, so they're going to.
And they're quite far apart. Is that how it would have been? They're not kind of bunched up together.
You couldn't put them wheel to wheel, because when you fire the gun, it jumps back. It doesn't always jump back in exactly the same way. They bounce around a bit, and there was an optimum distance between guns, which is approximately 20 feet.
20 feet, so there's a fairly significant gap between guns. So
yes.
Can you just give us our bearings here, Bart? What are we looking at?
Yes, so let's bring up the map very quickly so we got an idea of where we are. Last mission we were over here at the far right of the Allied flank, so we took this position.
Yeah, let's just remind people that are just joining us. If you're just joining us, we are doing a reenactment of the entire Battle of Waterloo. It's the 200th anniversary today. We went live at 10:30 or 11:30 local time in Waterloo. That's when the battle really took off, and we'll be broadcasting live all the way through to 8 o'clock this evening, where the battle finished, covering all the main events. So far today, the French have launched their initial assault on Hougoumont, which went well. They captured the forest, and then later on they pushed around to the left, the right hand side of the Allied line, and made some good progress there, and really started to cut Hougoumont off from its supply base, which will really weaken it. And on the right, the French have pushed the Nassauers, really given them a beating around Papelotte, and so they've taken that out of the equation, which has now freed up the main French line under D'Erlon to push. So this is the big assault going forwards. In front of the main French forces there, we can see Napoleon's Grand Battery, which is starting to hammer away. I can't actually see who they're shooting at. Where's the British line ahead?
The British line
off
is
the top of the screen
on the other slope. So we got like a hill over here where artillery is firing from, and then on the hill here is where Wellington's troops are positioned, and most of them
quite spread out, the British at the moment.
They got skirmishers in front, lying down to take cover from the artillery fire that's happening on top of them. But the main force of the Brits, we can some see lying down here, but are on the reverse side of the slope, and the line of sight rules of this game prevent us from seeing them.
So there are more troops here, but we just can't see them yet.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's the famous positioning of Wellington's troops on the reverse side of the slope, also to prevent them, I suppose, from taking artillery fire as well.
Well, it preserves the troops certainly, but it also stops them seeing what's coming. If you were on the front of the slope and you saw the mass of men coming, you'd be aware of the 5 people around you, one to the left, one to the right, one behind you, and one behind each of the people. So you've got 5 people you're physically in contact with, and you can see what seems to be thousands, and in this case probably were thousands and thousands of men coming with long pointy bayonets, cheering their heads off. It is extremely, extremely intimidating, and you can't blame anybody from just deciding to run away at the first instance. But they're being softened up. If you were in the front of the slope, you'd be softened up by the artillery. You'd hear the whoosh of the ball as it goes past. There's no explosion, of course, unlike some Hollywood films.
No fireballs.
No fireballs. You might feel the air, the hot air from the hot ball going past, and you'd hear a friend's head taken off, or an arm, or a leg, and the screaming that goes with it. So it's
I heard a story
truly
that if you saw
terrifying.
the cannonball coming, it meant your head was going to be blown off. But I don't know how they ever found that story out, because you can't have any survivors of that.
No, I think you're right. It's one of those myths that get generated. I don't believe it's true. You would see part of the ball's flight, but not all of it.
It must have been quite scary to be behind that hill as well, to hear all this going on, but
Yes,
not to know.
Not just the noise, but the shockwave of these guns firing. You can be quite a long distance away and actually feel the wind of the explosion coming out of the barrel. Yes.
More of a modern thing. So you imagine that from World War II artillery, but you would have actually had a shockwave you could feel from a cannon blast.
It's there. It's definitely there. The other thing is, they, after the battle, there were people who thought they could hear the noise of the cannonade in England. If the wind was in the right direction, it's possible. It's possible.
So here we see the British take sight of the advancing French, and they retreat into La Haye Sainte.
Yeah.
So La Haye Sainte, I'm just trying to think. This is where the 95th Rifles were, isn't it? Somewhere around here.
There should be over here waiting.
That's
in the sand pit or something.
Exactly. Yes, that's the sand pit.
So this is a famous, who've been made extremely famous by Sharp books and
yes.
Sharp's rifles, all that. This is.
I don't think anybody is particularly sure where the sand pit was, or the nature of it, how deep it was, how big it was. We know it was there because it's listed in the accounts, but that's as far as it goes. The owner of La Haye Sainte has been very amenable over the years to letting people walk through and look at it from the inside. And obviously it's completely restored and a working farm now, but it's still it shows an extremely generous spirit to allow all these strange people to come in and walk around and gawp inside his not inside his home.
Is there any
inside
visible
the farm.
damage, or has it all been restored?
It's all been restored. I don't remember seeing any recognisable damage. Hougoumont, by contrast, had been pretty much destroyed in the battle and then plundered by souvenir hunters. So having it restored to its proper state is very much welcome news.
So I'm just moving up my troops here.
What's your plan, Bart? What
Keep it
are we
somewhat
doing
orderly.
here?
I got 2 victory locations located on the Allied side. So we got location over here that we have
You've
to
got
take.
to take that ridge.
Exactly.
Is La Haye Sainte part of your objective?
It's
or
a
just
secondary
something-
objective. It's
Okay.
one that we definitely want to grab because it allows much more troops to be poured in easily.
And it also is going to flank you. It's going to really.
Exactly. If
be
I
an
move
irritation to
my
attack.
troops over here next to the fort and it's being occupied by the British, they will provide continuous fire.
How fortified was La Haye Sainte, Ian?
It's pretty much similar to Hougoumont, but smaller. So they would have tried to make holes in the walls to fire through. If they couldn't do that, or perhaps as well as that, they would take the slates off the roof to be able to fire from there. But you've got to remember, musket range is 140 yards. This attack that we're sending in now is a great deal further than that. So you could bypass La Haye Sainte the way you have done Hougoumont and just let them stay in there. As long as you've got troops stopping them sallying out and coming forward.
So imagine that's going to really limit your actions, but when you say that, it's only 100 yards of range.
It's not even the width of one battalion.
Yeah. So yeah, it is possible to ignore it to some extent.
Yes.
And was it possible to get artillery fire against La Haye Sainte? Because Hougoumont, the trees were blocking it. Was there the same issue there, or did they bring the guns to bear?
They could have done, but the field guns available at the time were not. They were very useful against infantry and cavalry. They weren't particularly good against really fortified buildings,
right.
or
so
really not fortified, really well built. And you can see by the design of North French and Belgian farmhouses, they're almost built for defence. Remember, this area has been fought over already by the time of Waterloo for 200-300 years. Less than 40 kilometres away to the north east is the battlefield of Ramillies, which 100 years before, more or less, was extremely significant battle in the War of Spanish Succession.
Defence was something in mind when constructing these. It wasn't just about building something to live in.
It had to be proof against bandits, basically, because there isn't an established police force the way we have now. So you built for security, and building a square yard like that with a substantial gatehouse is a prudent thing to do.
Yeah. Would the French have had any, not siege equipment, but anything to make it easier? Would they have brought things with them?
Mortars.
Did they have ladders, or how would they have
they wouldn't carry ladders. If they needed ladders, they would have built them on the day or the night before. But then you needed to rely on somebody to actually be able to work out how high the wall was.
Right.
More than once, people have built siege ladders, put them up against a wall, and found they're not long enough. I did a reenactment in Corsica at Ajaccio, where the plan was we would go over the walls of the town, of the fortress, by ladder, and exactly that happened. And fortunately, I was wearing a medical orderly's uniform at the time, because I thought it would be better to patch up the people who'd fallen off the wall than actually try and do it myself.
There's all these things that you don't think about, because the games are obviously an abstraction. There's all these little details that can be the turning point in a game in a battle that we abstract into random die rolls. So whether a unit gets lucky or unlucky, in reality, it wasn't that kind of luck. It was more.
That's a good shot. Can we hold that shot a minute? You see at the back of La Haye Sainte, there's a wall carrying on up the road.
Yeah.
Haye Sainte works as like a breakwater on the French attacks. They have to either take it or go around it.
Because they can't.
If the British had pulled down a battery from the sunken road, from the area that's being indicated now, and put it behind La Haye Sainte to fire across the French lines, enfilading them as they went forward, that would have caused even more havoc.
Not something they could have ignored, really.
No, and you could put a battery of, I don't know, 4 guns one side of the sandpit.
Like this, you mean?
From that kind of position, yes, exactly there.
Don't give them the idea, please. This mission is tough enough as it is.
Okay, can we edit that out?
So is there British artillery up on that hill shooting down?
Yes, unfortunately, we got some over here. We got probably more here that isn't firing at us at this moment, and we got mixed artillery over here as well.
It feels like there's a lot more French guns than British. Is that the way it was on the day?
The British spread their guns out for local effect, and Napoleon liked to concentrate his in a grand battery to really pound a spot in the enemy line, and then do what we're doing now. We're trying to form a swastika.
Not trying.
To pound a point in the enemy line and then crack it open like a nut. I mean, if you crack open a nut, the bits go all over the place, and then you can.
Yeah, if you get enemy behind your position, then that's a huge morale.
Especially if you're holding a geographical feature
Yeah.
like this ridge, the way Wellington is.
I've lost my bearings a bit, Bob. Where are we?
I've been jumping about a bit. Sorry for that.
Sorry, yeah. You playing the game well and showing us what's happening don't always go together.
I'm moving up my troops now. I moved up my artillery as well a bit, and I'm trying to get them all moved up a bit, like at the same time, so they won't arrive one by one, getting shot
Yeah.
to
And who's
pieces.
this sitting back here? Is this under your command, or is this?
This is under my command. I still need to move them.
What's the plan with these guys?
I ordered them to move up, but
order
the
didn't
commander
arrive?
is somewhere over here where I just found him. We can use the tools for that. So here we have the commander, so right in front of them. He's gonna bring his troops to him. The problem is, I just gave him the order, but I am located over here.
Right, so it's this courier problem. So it
Exactly.
takes time
So we
for the
see
message
couriers
to
now
arrive.
running with different orders.
Yeah.
All the way there. So here you see, with this kind of skill scenario, we haven't seen that before this big, that positioning yourself in this battle, or in this case,
It
counter
becomes an important
is
part
extremely
of the command and control. Yeah.
Can you issue orders for units to do things in coordination with other units?
You can issue orders to execute at a later time. So you can
Yes.
say at 10 o'clock advance, or at 10:30 do this. And so that probably, if you were playing this more seriously, you would have done your battle plan and
Exactly.
issued the guys orders to execute simultaneously rather than
Exactly.
try and issue them all in real time.
We're distracting you really from doing this properly.
It's surprisingly hard. I mean, we do this once a week with our Twitch stream, but playing a game and talking about it at the same time, you either find yourself playing the game and mumbling coherently.
You want to get some women, they're good at doing several things at once.
Ideally, yes.
Oh, it's PC, isn't it?
So,
As opposed to non-PC.
unfortunately, the rifles found a way to engage us.
So how much more effective would the rifles actually be? Because they're
Well,
famous, but they're really that much better?
Yes, they have their advantages. They're much more accurate because they are rifled. That's the technical term for it. The inside of the barrel is scored in a spiral to make the ball spin as it comes out. That means the ball travels in a straighter line. And the balls used by the rifle brigade are a much tighter fit in the barrel to make them spin than the musket balls in the general infantry. So you get a longer range and more accurate, which means you can sit back at, say,
You can shoot when they're out of range of view.
250 yards and pick off the officers. And that's
250 yards, they can actually hit a target.
And yes, yeah, that's the idea. They pick off the officers from a distance. The unit becomes leaderless. I mean, whatever order you go in, it requires a moment of adjustment to realise that it's the next in command.
Yeah.
And if he then goes and it's the next in command, you end up in chaos because nobody knows what's going on. Really.
Talking about chaos, we got a bit going on here.
An awful lot of men in a very small space.
Exactly, that's the issue. So I'm going to take direct control here and try and clean it up a bit. I pushed too many commanders into the same
area.
small area.
That's probably not going to be good for cannon fire because the cannonballs will cut through rank after rank, like you were saying, Ian. It could
Yes.
bounce through 6 times.
The thing is, the local commanders don't like it either. They get very confused, losing their own man, losing the others.
So you're attacking the guns there.
I want to clear these out. Ideally, I'd like to.
Oh, the guns seem to be running away. Oh, sorry, the skirmishers are not guns. Sorry, identification is not very good.
Ideally, I'd like to charge the rifles and get them into melee, where I think their advantage won't be as great.
Have you got any cavalry available to you here?
No.
So the other one was purely an infantry command.
It is.
Yes.
Well, and artillery.
Sure, yeah.
The principle behind having army corps in the French army is that each corps is completely self-supporting of infantry, cavalry and artillery. It's a miniature army on its own. And he'd like to use 5 army corps. One army corps, and they'd march separately. One army corps would find the enemy and make contact, and then the other army corps would join in on that fight. So you'd have one already in contact, 2 more, one to left and one to right, which would match the enemy's formation. One to attack his reserve, wherever it happened to be, and the 5th corps is the one that broke the enemy. Because by having an organisation of 5, it's more flexible than an organisation of 4.
Right.
So 4 was the standard used by the other armies.
That was the traditional thing. A lot of higher command used the traditional organisation of left wing, right wing, centre and reserve. Napoleon came up with the 5-corps principle that worked well for him many times.
And because he made each corps a kind of independent fighting unit with cavalry and artillery, if they did meet anything, they had the right
They had the means to
troops to deal with it.
Yes.
What's happening in La Haye Saint? Is it occupied?
It's occupied by the British at the moment, and we're pounding it with some
Are
units.
these guys under your command as well?
They are, yes, but I let the AI take charge of them for now because honestly I'm busy enough managing my own troops.
No, that you need to let the AI take some
Exactly.
control, otherwise there's too much to do.
And effectively what you're doing is neutralising the Haye Saint by engaging it in a long distance firefight. It won't be very effective, but they won't be able to do anything else.
Right.
So that's a good move.
I see nasty things going on here. I think I'm catching canister shots over here. So this is not the position to be. I can do two things. I can retreat or I can charge.
There's a lot of French going on.
I like charging in this case because it means that if
Well, you should stop them firing canister at least.
exactly, hopefully. So I'm trying to engage them. I want to get those rifles out of the way.
But should you be in a different formation if you're trying to engage? Because line is more firing formation.
Yes, but reforming into a column or marching column while being fired by canisters.
Okay, so you're
full
kind
on.
of lesser of two evils.
I'm afraid it is.
And what are we facing here? That's
It's a scrum. It's like rugby.
It's not ideal.
Do we know which British troops we're up against here? Is it?
Yeah, so we got the rifles in green over
Yeah.
here, and here we have the 32nd Cornwall Regiment of Foot, the 8th Brigade of the 9th Infantry Division.
Would they have been a good regiment? I guess anything in the British.
Standard line infantry.
What were the weak points in the British line?
Numbers. If you can stand off and erode the numbers, because although all the drill manuals at the time had provided for 3-rank deep formations, the British were never able to do that, except perhaps sometimes the Guards units. So they would form 2 ranks, which made them very vulnerable. You start taking casualties on a 2-rank formation. You have nobody, it gets very thin, and then the only thing you can do after that is shorten it. So you get shorter and shorter and
So you
shorter,
get gaps between
dressing on the
formations.
colours, gaps in formations and gaps for enemy to get through.
Right, so actually my charges were rebuffed.
Can we zoom in a little bit to see what happened there in that combat? How close can we get?
We can get in very close. I just launched a second attack at
The rifles.
at
The rifles are off.
and they're running away now after the second attack. And then the infantry foot gets in.
Come on, chuck more in there. I have no idea what I'm doing. But I feel I should charge them in.
Yes,
them into.
that's it.
Oh,
They're going as well.
Too. So how badly beaten up are you there, Mike?
I took about 70 casualties, these guys, but 2 of my other lines actually ran off.
So you've lost a couple of.
So
you've lost at least as much as you took out. Really.
yes, but
Probably more.
I'm comforting myself with the idea that I took out the rifles.
I wonder if Sharp's there.
I mentioned this guy, William Lawrence, several times, but actually he's with the 40th Foot, which is on the ridge behind the road.
Ah, can we locate them? Can you see them yet?
No. And we probably have cavalry as well over here, British cavalry. We can't see them yet. Hopefully I managed to actually push over
Yeah,
onto
it'd be
the road.
interesting to see something's just popping into view. Just seen an ammo wagon appearing.
Yep. So I'm focusing myself on this flank. I got the La Haye Saint done by the AI, and I got the other flank done by the AI. Probably should check out on that.
So this is where's that over in the
Halfway
That's
up,
all
so-
over in the
yes,
distance here.
yes.
I got my troops waiting here, not doing anything, which I'm particularly happy with.
They get issued an attack command.
Roger, Commander. There. Sometimes you see the camera shift very quickly. I use the hotkeys to manage throughout the order of battle.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to follow where
yeah.
you're looking.
So this is on
Far
my
right of your line,
right,
yeah.
exactly, and I'm gonna order them to attack.
So what are those things you're choosing there? When you're issuing that order, there's a number of choices you've got. When it
Right,
comes up.
exactly. These are the. Let me grab my unit. I can mess around with easily.
Someone not in the front line.
Well, if I mess around with these, it takes 15 minutes before the
right,
order
you need
gets
someone close
executed.
to your commander,
So
of course.
this regiment, for example, in the back here, is in reserve at the moment. I can right click where I want it to move. If I keep my right
So that
click
line
pressed,
is showing you the direction of
destination.
when it gets there.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly.
and the angle it's facing.
Exactly. So I can dictate that. And when I've done that, I get the pop-up menu. And the pop-up menu here shows different actions I can take with this unit. It shows formations I can take with this unit.
So what are the formations?
Here we got the column, the column by divisions, or the line. I can.
So what's the strengths and weaknesses of those different formations?
Right. So the column formation is the formation we want to do for general moving to and from the battlefield. It's the quickest way, using roads easily.
So you just move faster when they're
strategic redeployment.
In some ways, if I can interrupt,
Sure.
it's scissors, paper, stone. A column of divisions will normally defeat a line unless the line is supported on either side. A line will be defeated by cavalry, but a square will defeat cavalry. So it's pick the right formation. The narrow column is really for marching around and manoeuvring.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't expect to see that on the battlefield. It's very vulnerable.
That would be right. Not only in the back lines, maybe if you're redeploying something.
Yeah, if you wanted to move a unit from one flank to the centre or centre to a flank, that kind of thing, then you might think of that. But you would come into even artillery range. You would want to be in a line because artillery will bounce through multiple ranks of a column, whereas it only goes through 2 or 3 ranks of a line.
So the options you get on the destination menu depend on what you're doing. So this unit, for example, is fighting. If I right click on the flag, I've got the menu popping up with different orders to advance, retreat, charge, wheel left and right, to form a square, to deploy skirmishers if the unit is capable of it, or to hold, basically, to do that. So I'm pressuring the lines now, but I'm not feeling like I'm going anywhere.
It looks fairly stalemate-ish right now. It's just
Yes.
a battle of attrition.
Bring in more troops.
Check how we're doing it. Still obviously they return from their lunch break.
Right.
And the
Lunch?
battle is continuing. you might get lunch in a minute.
I've had a chocolate biscuit.
So in here, the AI is advancing like we told you to. I'm not going to micromanage this. I'm too far away to do that. So I'm going to let the AI mess around with it. Their fighting style.
No sounds.
Regiment lifting infanterie. So light infantry we go. But again, supported by artillery. I'm thinking of moving up more artillery actually. To get a bit more. I'm taking a bit of a gamble here. I'm expecting no counterattack coming. Should suddenly cavalry storm over these hills.
Like it did historically.
Yes. Then my artillery is not in the best position. So I've got more troops here retreating. I have to take this fire. I'm not feeling overly confident for this one. I think this might be the end of the French trick of success. We've seen. Putting a lot of pressure on this specifically.
Well, that's good.
Hopefully that will give us some leverage to push it through at some point. But fighting a combination of infantry and artillery is extremely difficult. Because as soon as you get close enough to want to push them out, you get so much fire on you. Troops rallying. Just run off.
Well, they've done their best.
But we cleared La Haye Saint. I suppose that's worth something. At least I hope.
Do you need to occupy it to get the victory points?
Yes, yes. You need to occupy it with a unit, a military unit, and a commander unit to get the point proper, to get the French flag or a symbol over here. I'm not sure I like where these troops are heading. They're only engaging more troops. Here we can see over the hill now because of these troops advancing. We can see here a significant cavalry reserve. And there's probably more. Spot a bit more units over here as well.
Yes.
So as we get closer, we spot more enemies and getting bad news for the French, basically. I mean, how was the attack expected to be from Delon historically?
Well, the general feeling is that Napoleon thought that the grand battery lasted the British to pieces, and that this attack would break through, and then he could launch his cavalry in a pursuit and carry on to Brussels. It didn't happen like that, as we know. The British launched a cavalry counterattack with the Scots Greys, and swept most of us away. But in turn, they were swept away. The Scots Greys were swept away by a French counterattack. There's this element of a pendulum swinging in Napoleonic warfare. You put in your attack, it gets countered, and it sort of goes one way and then the other. And it's the one that can keep going longest that seems to make it through. Except you've got weight of numbers here. Although, well, we know there are British reserves, but if these guys could take the ridge, they would have British would have great difficulty in taking it back, especially if we bring up artillery close behind, a few batteries to deal with the expected counterattack. You can see a counterattack forming top left there.
Yeah.
In that line.
It's a fresh line that will engage with the battle troops. I'm slowly moving out now, though. I routed some units over here, so we've got movement on this side now. That should help out a bit.
And the line is coming at right angles to your front.
Charge here. It's a bit of a huge distance to charge from. I've got reinforcements coming in that will freed up and I can take you guys.
There's every reason to be positive.
Routing over here. Win this time.
If you can get that reformed unit on the end of, I know the British are responding already.
Yes, unfortunately. And here we get an idea of what it means when people say war is chaos.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys do? Hide. Control them. So we managed to actually, with these guys being freed up from the haystake, we managed to neutralize or push back a lot of the artillery stationed here. Actually see a broken gun. So that helps a lot, that frees up these guys a lot.
Yes. Well, even if you capture the crossroads, you'll be doing, I mean, you're already doing better than historically.
A bit too close for my taste, but I admire their enthusiasm.
There's a lot of bodies on the field now.
Yes. Of course, historically they wouldn't all be dead, but a lot of wounded.
We will be talking about that later.
Yep. Now would be a good opportunity for me to grab you.
Okay, right.
We will be looking at some of your equipment in the next 20 minutes or so.
Excellent.
That was an unfortunate choice of words.
So we actually managed to push up a bit more than I'd expected to. We're very close, actually manning the crossroads now.
Right, so we can suddenly see the more British troops
Exactly.
popping into visibility here.
And these are the famous cavalry guys there.
Is this the Scots Greys?
We got here, we got Regiment of Dragoons,
Oh, there's the Greys, of course, on the grey horses.
and the Scots Greys are over here. It should be noted that we're not playing with the highest number of sprites on screen. You can get more units out there for the really big battles if you want.
So yeah, what we have a representation of around 50 to 1, is it, at the moment? So for every 50 men on the battlefield we're showing one, or is it higher than that?
I think it's higher than that. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, no, 50 to 1 is the representation of the tabletop.
Tabletop, yeah. I think in game it says in the options we selected 1 in 6 sprite ratio.
1 in 6. What's the highest it can go to?
I think it's the 1 in 4, 1 in 2.
So we could have 2 to 3 times as many sprites on
Yeah,
screen.
it can get very extreme.
With the big scenarios though, that starts to get a bit of a
Your
a
PC
resource hog.
might not like it.
But we're future-proofing. So
Exactly.
in a couple of years, everyone will be able to run with a one-to-one level of detail.
Guys, we're going to take more direct control and feed them into the battle. Because these guys, it's nice to have them there, but they won't last long. We can see artillery battle.
It's artillery at short range is going to be doing lethal damage. Can we not get into combat with them? Is it better off charging?
It might be actually. I'm not confident because our flank is threatened as well.
Hopefully trying to get up the hill to maintain a position and force the English back.
Yep.
Still going strong.
We're very close to the victory marker actually.
I'm surprised you haven't seen the cavalry charge.
Well, the cavalry is waiting.
Pretty late.
Yeah.
I guess from all the infantry going up the hill, they'll be tired by the time they get there. And then it's like cavalry turn around, we're dead.
There might be a fairly good chance of that. If
Yeah.
I can get to the ridge and get deployed in squares,
Mhm.
the problem is that's extremely dangerous when there's still so much allied artillery out there.
Yeah.
Artillery likes shooting at squares.
Yeah, because if they miss the kind of key point of either of the sides, or bouncing through one line and hitting the back as well.
Yeah.
It's ideal.
Move up. It's all delays.
So they're kind of holding strong on the left side.
But these guys are taking serious beating. Expect them to run soon. You slightly wheel. I'm using hotkeys here for wheeling troops. Here we got quite a solid line shooting at the end. Reserves. We're going to bring in. So these guys are running off now. They've had enough. Can't blame them. Though, according to military law, I should.
Yeah.
Let's have you guys charge. And on this end, the AI is fighting for me, and they're not winning at all.
Oh.
I didn't give them enough support, probably. The artillery are brought in way too close. They've done a lot of damage, but suffering a good number of casualties.
Yeah.
They retreat a bit, especially since we are running out.
Yeah. Troops are running away there.
this point first.
Yeah. You see the morale and fatigue is quite high on those units you have selected.
Yeah, they're fairly fresh.
Yeah.
They engage in some fire over here.
They
But
have time to kind of recuperate.
exactly. More useful stuff with my artillery. I'm gonna bring them in very close, dangerously close. But okay, guys, you're gonna charge as well. Go for it. Right, so you can see that the allied icon has been removed from this one. It's now considered contested and very close. There are relatively few troops in the direct vicinity vicinity of the area. So that bodes a bit better for me.
And you've actually won that melee just there.
I did. I don't think I have enough troops left to really.
Charge forward into the cannon.
I'm gonna try anyway.
You're gonna try anyway.
I'm gonna try anyway. These guys, they're gonna be rewarded a lot if they manage. So they're actually trying to.
Yes, you can see they're actually moving away and actually getting connected to the.
I'm going to keep very close to these to give them the commander bonus.
Yep.
So. Need you guys to get to where those guys. To commander them first and foremost. Right, so a couple of the
They've
cavalry
been
start moving
removed.
away, so that's very good.
So if you can get your
They're going to
rest of your
continue to
troops
push.
to follow up closely behind.
Artillery's
Reforming.
coming dangerously close now.
Yeah.
Don't mind them taking a couple of casualties. Bring up some reinforcements.
And then situate the cannons right behind them on the hill so they can fire down. Is that your plan?
Hopefully, yes, if all goes well. My fear is when the enemy cavalry
Do decide to charge it.
must be ready in
Yeah.
squares.
Yeah.
And we have now taken the victory location over here, even though barely. The artillery still on the bring in more artillery. These guys are useless there now, since most of the fighting over here is going on the reverse side of the slope.
Yeah.
My artillery at the back is not doing anything,
Yeah.
and the enemy is contesting the area immediately to get there.
They've set their cannons up right in front of your.
I don't like that.
No. And they're actually charging.
Yes, they are. I want to push those cannons back as far as possible.
How your flanks
Not great.
not great.
It is actually possible for units to capture artillery if they surprise it
Right.
in the charge.
Look.
In this
got
case,
one
they surrender,
surrendered.
which is also fine by me.
Mhm.
I'm happy with that.
So did that mean that it just left the battlefield?
Exactly. Well, when it's surrendered, it basically, well, it would go over into our unit would surrender, so it would become prisoners of war, really.
Yeah.
Whereas routing, they would run through the lines, through
Yeah.
their own lines back. So there's a difference in that. tries to run up, kind of in a hurry here. We're getting pounded here a bit, but we get our own canister out.
Yeah. Although, would they be able to fire over your? Over there?
If they're firing on the enemy here, there's
Right.
no line of sight obstructed.
Yeah.
I'll get some reserves in here. The artillery just keeps shooting.
And those little sun markers show the movement of where.
Exactly. It's a movement mechanic that is used when to get to a specific position, units have to circumvent their own lines, so they won't
Mhm.
walk through their own lines. So you see
Yeah.
the markers indicating what path they will take to their eventual destination.
Yeah. And all the infantry will adjust according to it as we see it
Yes.
turning through.
Yes, exactly. Keep good lead. Here, for the most part. Keep pushing. And I think we are seeing cavalry moving.
Yeah. That looks like they are.
So I'm going to deploy my units in squares, even though the artillery is still right there.
Which is more dangerous at this point? Is it the
If the artillery, or if the cavalry grabs me while not in line formation, then
Yeah.
that's definitely the thing that is more dangerous.
Yeah.
Since units will just run off for a good deal, being chased
Mhm.
by cavalry, gaining a significant amount of casualties. Getting pounded by artillery will get me a lot of casualties, but at least the formation will hold longer.
Yeah.
And the way it works in game, of course, the longer I hold this victory location, the more points I will
Yeah.
get.
And the more of a possibility of the major victory condition being reached.
Exactly. Just going to sacrifice these guys. Hopefully they get fire on the artillery, so they will be pushed out
Yeah.
before the cavalry joins in. It's a bit risky. And you can
Cavalry
see I position myself
within the
safely
box.
within the square.
Yeah.
Well, safely, relatively speaking.
Yep. There goes the rest of the
Yeah, so we got
cannons.
Greys. Scots Greys over there. And the cannons are moving off, so that's
Yeah.
good. We're going to have you stop.
On the box.
Double speed deploy in the
Ah.
square.
See, they're charging your.
The units that
The
are
other
not
side.
squared up.
Yeah.
Or at least not yet, so that's... I'm trusting the AI to make the right call here, even though if they're engaged already.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing now I'm in squares, the cavalry is suddenly a bit more hesitant about
Yeah.
moving up. So that's good. How long left? We are at in-game turns, I think about 15 minutes left. Let's see, looking at the briefing. As soon as this message being on the way. If we look at the battle info over here, we played for 1 hour. We started at 1:30 p.m. In-game turns, it's currently 2:15, so we got about 15 minutes left. Also, if you think that this game is taking a bit too slow, or deployment phase is a bit too slow, you can actually speed up time by using the plus and minus keys, in which case, depending on your PC as well, of course, you'll see units moving a whole lot quicker. So we deployed in squares, we got a good number of units here, we take a lot of fire, but I think we are already doing better than it went historically. So I'm actually quite happy with the way it currently is going. I'm going to bring in a bit more troops around the victory locations, with priority to that. And I've almost completely given up on the other side. I see a
Yeah.
lot of casualties in that. This artillery has done a terrific job. inflicting 458
Wow.
casualties all by itself. But I just didn't bring enough infantry on this end to really make a push. Whereas on this end, I gathered all my troops, really consider that to be the priority. We got about 10 minutes, well 12 minutes left here. And we got units running away. We have the enemy cavalry joining in. So we deployed on squares on the ridge.
Oh, squares. This looks interesting.
So we got the victory location just barely, as you can see.
Okay.
We deployed on squares, but the enemy artillery is still pounding.
That doesn't sound like a nice place to be in square.
No.
Lots of infantry up there as well.
Exactly.
Those squares look a bit sparse as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've suffered a lot of casualties. But we managed to chase them out. Also, the squares look a bit sparse, of course, also partly because of the sprite ratio we've
Sure.
chosen here. If you get more sprites in there, they will all look more like this. We got like 3 men.
Yeah.
And they're still shooting, but this means that the cavalry cannot do like the surprise charge that we did historically. Obviously, we have the benefit of hindsight here, which we use a bit to our advantage.
Yeah, that is a big problem with reenacting or refighting any battle from history. A lot of the things that happened or went wrong on the day were down to lack of information or misunderstandings or things one side didn't know. And that hindsight that we bring to the game changes the way we do things. For example, Napoleon letting Marshal Ney lead the attack, the cavalry attack at Waterloo, is something I'm sure he regretted after the day.
So like I said, has become pretty much useless at this point. It holds no value whatsoever
The
until
French flag flying over the Saint.
yeah, but until we get pushed out here, of course, and the battle lines shift again. But so far we're holding up quite well. I hope I can actually hold this ridge until time runs out. That would be
We're running about 20 minutes behind schedule at the moment.
yes. Unfortunately, we should be able to catch up after this battle a bit.
Yeah. Can we accelerate time a little bit in this one to try and
Yes,
catch up a little
we
bit?
definitely
Not too
can.
much, but just to catch back 5 more minutes
Yeah,
or
so we're going to do a slight speed up. You can do a bit more if you want to.
If we go kind of, what rate are we at the moment? We go at about double time.
Yeah,
something
about
like
that.
Yeah, double time should be good. That will catch up 5 minutes before the scenario's over.
So we're getting pushed up here on the ridge. These guys are going to deploy them in line again because they're getting pounded. I got my own artillery very close now. Again, taking risks here, but I suppose it's not uncommon for the French under Napoleon to take some serious risks.
Absolutely.
So you brought your artillery right up close to the
Yes.
front line there.
The point was, if they were firing from here, from this slope, there's still a couple of there. Well, the fighting is going on the reverse side of the other
Right,
slope.
they're completely
They're practically useless.
Yeah. It is quite risky bringing them up so close to the front line.
Yes.
But it's either that or not use them at all, I guess.
This is war.
And again, we can see just the pure carnage on the field. And I'm myself at the very front line to coordinate my troops as much as possible in this area. And I've hidden myself inside a square.
Oh, very brave.
So
That's a good target.
it
Or
is,
the
yeah.
best place to be honest.
Where's the cavalry?
Their cavalry is coming up from here.
That's graze.
But they are very hesitant as soon as they saw me deploying my troops in squares.
What cavalry can do to us? Any square.
No, it's. Here we go.
Is that Highlanders? It looks like Highlanders. Zoom in a bit, but looks like kilts.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the Highlanders.
92nd.
And retiring to recruit.
Again, they're moving very quickly here because we
Yes,
sped up
everything's
everything
moving
a bit.
faster than it should now. We were falling a little bit behind schedule, so we've increased the execution speed here around a little bit.
Sounds very good. Can you keep control of the double speed?
It It's,
makes it even harder.
I
for
wouldn't
him
be
to
able
keep
to
up
play
to
the
you.
entire battle this way. No, not much.
This is fun.
Are they going to cover the square? Scots Greys are forming up in front of the French square.
The AI has a tendency to keep threatening with the cavalry without actually committing to an attack, and that being so, they force me to remain in
In
the
there's
square
not much point
formation.
in attacking, really, is there? So
No.
it's a sensible choice by the AI. But
No.
it stops you taking that risk of coming out of square and.
Yes, exactly. Because otherwise, seeing the artillery over
Are they
here-
bringing artillery up on the right as well?
Well,
Those wagons, does that mean limbered artillery or is that something else? Is that
these
ammunition?
wagons are ammunition wagons, yes. But I secured the right, or the artillery position over here, I secured with the troops freed up from La Haye Saint as soon as
Right.
that fell. So I pushed back the artillery, and I haven't had the heart to bring it back up because, yes, having the Allied artillery again shooting from up here
Yeah,
up to the
okay.
squares, that would be
So what's the plan now? You're just trying to hold your ground?
exactly. I'm trying to hold my ground until time runs out. It's,
What would Napoleon be doing if this wasn't a kind of a scenario that was ending? What would Napoleon's next move be once he'd secured this ridge?
I think he would bring his cavalry, the massed regiments of cuirassier that he used in the charge, following the favour of this attack. That would be the time to do it.
So in reality,
Look
the
how it-
French
look
did
how-
not get to this point on the ridge.
No, they didn't. Look how vulnerable the Allied armies are. The infantry in line, they've got pockets of cavalry going around. Here comes an infantry attack. This time, but the cavalry would force the infantry into square. They could use it to mop up the small units. They could take out the Allied cavalry, which is inferior in number.
And not a hole in the middle of your battle line. And
Absolutely.
deep
Yes.
confusion.
Yeah, my money's on the French at this stage.
Oh, we got the inconclusive fight. So yeah, on this ridge we did slightly better than historical. I suppose we suffered a lot more casualties than we did historically, standing on your squares, getting pounded. Also, we took only one of the total of 3 victory locations we were kept on.
Okay.
So I decided didn't feel confident at all in taking them all on. So I tried to focus on one and get that sorted out.
Well, so far it's been a couple of major victories and an inconclusive
Yes.
victory for the French. So it's still looking with the French at the moment.
On balance,